So as a value zone hydrologist, my study area always is like root zone, value zone all together. But for this specific talk, I want to just talk about the root zone, about ag lands. In terms of nitrate management, we talked about a lot about sustainability to be sustainable, but I want to add another term to it to be profitable. So we want to be sustainable, but also grower need money, so it needs to be also profitable as well. So for that reason, we want to add nitrate as much as we need, but we want to force that nitrate to be used by plant and avoid any loss of nitrate to the value zone and then groundwater. There's another term coming to play, and that's salt. To be sustainable and profitable with the salt, I'm just talking about the root zone, we want to know how much salt we are applying to the root zone, and we don't want to have any of those salt to stay in the root zone. We want to wash them out of the root zone. So these are the two terms that we want to talk about. We said root zone. In this case, almond root zone. It's very complicated. So we are irrigating. Depends on what's the irrigation system, what's the frequency, how we manage the irrigation, what soil type do we have, and how many layers do we have, how we manage the fertigation, what's the source of the fertilizer, and what's the quality of that water, what plant do we use, what's the rooting depth, all come together to define how to make a guideline or management tool for the grower to use and farm for their benefit. So for nitrate management, the leaching, there are two terms here. One is uptake and one is the downward flow. So these two are competing with each other, and we want to make sure that the uptake would win over the downward flow. Otherwise, we will have a nitrate leaching. We said management and also bringing some guidelines for the growers. Two of the options, at least I know about, is to have the field study and or modeling. Field study, grower would love that. They say, if you think I'm doing wrong and you know how to do it right, show it to me that it works. If it works, I'm going to follow you. It's expensive, it's time-consuming, and it's site-specific. Another option is modeling. Yes, we can repeat it. If we are doing wrong, just stop the modeling in 2 weeks, run it again, and a lot of flexibility that modeling bring us, time efficient, cost efficient, but there are a lot of knobs to be turned down and a lot of parameters that we need to have to be able to have a good model and good tool. Otherwise, it's easy to go wrong. We talked about the knobs. Right now, I just want to talk about nitrate modeling, nitrate uptake modeling, how plant or what tools do we have here in terms of HYDRUS model that can model the nitrate uptake by plant. There are a few parameters that we need for this specific topic. There is a nutrient demand or nitrate demand. What are the mechanism of the uptake, and what's the uptake rate by plant, and does salinity has anything to do with these parameters? So we said management. We said we need a guideline or tool for the grower, and we said we would like to use modeling, but we need to have some iteration. We have some field study to get the parameter we need for the modeling, somehow calibrate, validate, the model that we have somehow is working well, and then use that model for producing guideline and or a tool for a grower. The demand. Patrick Brown, I'm working in his lab, did a lot of work supported by Almond Board and other agency to come up with a demand for almond. What are the demands at every growing stage? So now we have a demand that we know what almond needs at any of this growing stage. We can use this one as one of the important input for the model. We had this one as a cumulative demand. Now we have a daily demand for the model that we can use as an input. The other parameter, we said salinity. So let's say if we say almond needs 270 pounds per acre of nitrate. But that depends on also the water quality. If you are using saline water or non-saline water, does it affect the growth of the almond, the yield of the almond, and then does it affect the need of the nitrate by almond? Again, another study, again supported by Almond Board with Patrick and another postdoc, we are looking for the effect of different salinity on almond growth and to relate that one to the almond nitrate demand. That's again a uniform. We have a pot experiment. But we know that the salinity is not uniform in the soil. If you are using drip irrigation or any other irrigation, the deposition pattern of salt is different within the root zone. So the salinity is not uniform. That's why what we are doing right now, we have a split root experiment to be able to manipulate between the good part or bad part of the root zone to see if we have these different quality of the root zone, does it affect the growth and also the nitrate demand by the almond. Another parameter is the uptake mechanism. We have two mechanisms so far, again, in the HYDRUS model. We call it passive uptake. Passive says if we have a maximum concentration, below that one, all the nitrate can go to the root. After that one, the uptake is constant. Another parameter that plant science are more happy with that is the active uptake. They say there's a relation between the uptake and the concentration of nitrate in the root zone, and we need the parameter for those. One small issue about this parameter, passive is not demand dependent. So you can easily tweak your model to apply 300 pounds of nitrate and take it up by a few days. And that's going to do it for you. And also the active is not transpiration demand. So if you have no transpiration or any water stress, plant model doesn't care about your stress and just take up all the nutrients. So there's a lot of issues about this mechanism, and right now we are working on modifying this aspect such that we could make both party of soil and plant science happy. Uptake rate. We are looking for such this diagram. We don't have any numbers yet. We need to fill up this graph with few numbers to be able to use them in the model. Again, we have few experiments, a hydroponic system experiment, Almond Board again, working on the to find out those parameters. We have few 5 level of nitrate to see how almond respond to different concentration to find out about those parameters, and also if salinity has anything to do with this uptake rate. Again, uniformity. We are bringing the split root system to see if we have nitrate here, that we have also salt. Can plant do anything with it? Can plant use these nitrate that are in a bad region or bad part of the root zone, or this nitrate is already lost because plant cannot take it up? So we have 9 treatments looking for different options to see if plant can compensate for those issues and take the nitrate but not do anything with the salt or not. If you go to people that work in the field, farm advisor or plant science who are field-based work, they say, okay, you're doing good, but that's greenhouse. It's not field. Those things doesn't mean to us anything. So do you have any support in the field? That's why we are doing another experiment to have a semi-field condition. I know many of you have seen these trucks transferring tomato from field to the facility. I'm not talking about the tomato right now. Just going to talk about these containers that you see tomatoes in. We have those containers, but we fill them with soil, installed drainage system, put irrigation system on it. We have 24 of those containers right now ready for the plant to go in to be experimented by different irrigation management, different soil type, and also different almond variety to see what are the effect of these parameters on the uptake of nitrate in saline and non-saline condition. You see 6 blue blocks here that I didn't talk about. These are a controlled box. So drainage system, but there is no weighing thing that we could see how much water is being lost per day or per hour. Cheaper than this one. These would be weighing lysimeters. 6 of them we have. We are building them right now to fill them with soil, grow almond, put a lot of instrument in terms of lysimeters, solution samplers, soil moisture sensor, whatever we have access to be able to come up with a nice dynamic of water and salt in this huge pot, and see also what are the effect of those parameters on the change in soil water storage. I talked about all of those things, and I want to use those for the modeling. Let's now go to the model. If I can call myself a modeler, as a modeler, we can do a lot of things. If we have some data, and if you have a computer, we can sit down on the desk, do some inverse modeling, and fit the output of the model to the observation and come up with something. Somehow, like tweak the parameters and find those parameters that we need, and say, okay, we have the model, works perfect, we have a good fit, that means our model is working properly, but we want to be careful about what parameters we want to estimate and what parameters we really need as an input to the model. For example, the demand is very important. If we want to have an estimate about this demand, we may end up for having a very huge overestimation or underestimation of the end-use efficiency, and also the mechanism. These 2 parameters are very important that we need to know how do they work. But for the uptake rate, if we have a sense of some value, we might be able to fine-tune them by inverse modeling. And I think I'm going to be finished.
Thank you very much, Maziar.
Did you already start with modeling?
I've done a lot of those modeling, but I don't present any of those data because I want to make sure that what I'm presenting at least makes sense.
Because if you start modeling, the model might help you to find which parameters are sensible or are most sensitive for the outcome.
Correct.
Which helps you again for redefining your field work or other experimental work.
Thank you. That's correct. Yes. For that reason, yes, we have done the modeling, and that's why I'm saying the demand and the uptake mechanism is the most important part. You can easily overestimate your efficiency or your work if you don't know which one to use and what are the demands. That's why we have the proposal and we got the grant to specifically work on those parameters. Yes.
Thank you, Maziar. Nice presentation. I have a question concerning your potential uptake rate of nitrogen. So you show your figure these potential rates versus time. I'm thinking, so date of the year. I'm thinking if you are considering to insert temperature in this, so let's say that we may have a warm year, we may have a cold year, or the effect of the environment on this, because I think it will be influence.
Absolutely, and if you have checked the graph, it was percentage. It was from 0 to 100%. Depends on those temperature, and if you have a good year or bad year, the total amount would change, and then it would be changing also proportionally to see what are those rates.